So when I said he can't be nervous, or I don't think he's nervous, it's that's one of the things that, like, if being nervous is the excuse that you want to give him, then that's what separates the great role players and the bench guys in the NBA from the others. I mean,
Yeah.
when you look at some of the greatest guys to come off the bench of all time, when you think of Robert Ory and some of them NBA finals, sitting out the whole series, coming in only the fourth quarter, late game, and he's relying on to make big shots.
Yeah.
Like, that's your job. There's everybody has a role in the league, and it's gonna be some guy's role, and it's gonna be expected of you to come off that bench, flaming hot, be ready to go, 50% from the 3 point line, 40% from the 3 point line, with cold. That's your job,
Yeah.
and it's just, again, nervous. Yeah, I understand it's an opportunity, nerves and all that, but you got to show people that you can thrive under pressure, especially on the Charlotte Hornet team where injuries happen all the time, and your number might get called at any minute. Right? They've been in a position for the last couple of years where they've had to play unorthodox lineups because of injuries and things like that. So they're not gonna have time to use the injury excuse or the nervous excuse. They need guys that's ready to go. That's the only thing I was saying.
Yeah.
So maybe there's something he got to go work on, but you got to go figure it out. That's something you got to figure out.
Yeah. And I agree with you, right? I do think that that's something that you got to put together. I think that what's tough for him though, or I think in the comparison of, like, you think about the Robert Horrys and the guys who have established themselves as guys who can come off the bench in those critical times. I remember I listened to this thing where Pat Beverly was giving props to, I think it was Tyronn Lue. And he was like, yo, Tyronn Lue gonna play the best players. And he talked about not playing the whole series. And then when it came to crunch time and they needed him, his number got called and he had to be available to go to work. And so I think I just think that that's something that you develop over the course of your career. If you told me that there was a kid who just came off the G League, this is his first summer or preseason with a team getting significant minutes, and he had some nerves, I'd be like, okay, I hear you. I could understand that, and that's what I'm saying. I think that that's where Gelo is at the moment.
I mean, again, when we looking at preseason, we see a ton of young guys who ain't never touched the NBA floor in their life pushing for a spot. I mean, when you look at, like, when I saw them play the Celtics and I saw J.D. Davis, a guy that could get cut at any time, show up and is playing like he belonged. He don't look nervous. When I look at the 36ers play and I see Franks and I see Craig Randall out there balling, making the most of their opportunity in limited games. They only get 1 or 2 games in the preseason. They making the most. They balling. I mean, when I see guys out there that ain't never touched the NBA court, ain't never to make the most of everything you got going in practice so you can get rotational minutes, it's time when you get on the court, show you can do more than just chuck threes, because I'm telling you right now, it don't matter if he went 4-4 from the 3 point line or 0-for-4. They all know he can shoot. Like, there's no secret. The reason why Gelo's not in the league is because of the other intangibles. Can he defend his position? Right? Can he play make? Those are the things. When is he going to show that? Because shooting alone is not going to get him into the league where at his size. There's plenty of guys they can get if they just want to get. It's better shooters. If we're being honest, it's better shooters out there that they could just go snatch if they just wanted to go get a shooter. He got to show all the other intangibles, and he hasn't shown them. I don't believe he's shown anything other than just chucking up shots. So,
I agree, and I feel like, so to me, right? I think that there is a semi difference between I think that there's a lot of conversation around what's happening with LiAngelo. And I think that what I'm saying is that if you said he's nervous, I'd be like, okay, I could see that. What I say, bro, it's okay that you're nervous. I'd be like, bro, you got to get through it and you got to like get on the other end of that. You know what I'm saying? What you're saying is exactly what I feel like I've been saying, that is going to be a hard road for him for, like, especially these next couple of years of his career, is the thing that it comes across as his job is to come in on these limited minutes, and he's been just standing in the corner and then chucking up shots, right? Finding they run a play from me, come off a screen, and he got to hit a three. This last game though was the first time that I have seen them call a play for him to facilitate anything. And it was like the last minute or so, they ran the same play with him 2 or 3 times in a row. And I was like, okay, now they starting to make it work or whatever. Now they're trying to see where he at, what he got going. So I was excited about that. But I'm saying I agree with you. I think that it's not if you're going to make it and you're going to be who everybody think you could be, like, you can't, nervous ain't a thing. You know what I'm saying? You got to like learn the intangibles and make it that way. Here's one I want to ask you about, because it's something that I saw the conversation people had about him. One of the things that I think that he needs to do is I watched the game and they just be sitting, and maybe it's the Hornets in general. When things are happening, they literally are just sitting on the bench like they don't care. You know what I mean? And I want to see him stand up and at least be the crowd love him. At least be the dude who hyping the squad up. You know what I mean? Like, even if you can't necessarily, look at Udonis Haslem. He's been in the Heat for a minute just because of his role in the locker room and all of that stuff. I at least want to see you go ahead and do that. You know what I mean?
I mean, it's like you said, that's a role on the team. Being a leader on the bench, that's a role. And I'll give you an example. I was talking to one of the D1 coaches down here at GCU, and he was telling me about walk-ons. He was like, yeah, we brought in a few guys, but he said all the walk-ons came in, and the guys that we was looking at, he said they came in our office just saying the wrong thing. He said these guys talking about they want to come in, play themselves into the rotation, do all that stuff, and they like, hold on, if you a walk-on, your role is completely different. You're not supposed to come in with the expectation of playing 20, 30 minutes or breaking a rotation, because those are the guys that's going to sit on the end of the bench. They're going to start moping when they're not getting time, or if they think they can outperform the starters, and they're not going to be, giving anything positive to the team. They're just going to start to be toxic. And so it's about when is he going to separate himself doing the small things, the intangibles. Loudest one on the bench, talking in the huddle, motivating guys, being the first to run out when a timeout is being called. I mean, obviously it looks kind of cheesy and corny, but cheesy and corny kept a lot of guys in the league.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's about finding something that's gonna give you a little niche so you get staying power in the league, and then you can figure everything else out from there. Yeah. But I mean, based on the contract that he signed, I believe that he's not going to return to the Swarm. I don't believe he is.
Like, you think in what context? Like, you think he's going to stay with the Hornets, or you think he
no?
That's the end of his run.
I believe there's two types of training camp deals you can sign. So you can sign an Exhibit 10, which is one everybody knows. So the benefit of an Exhibit 10 is if you do get cut, as long as you stay with the G League affiliate for 60 days, you get a $50,000 bonus.
Bonus, yep.
And you get injury protection. So if you get hurt during preseason, you protected. There's liability there. The team has to cover your injuries and whatnot. LiAngelo signed what is called an Exhibit 9. An Exhibit 9 contract is called a limited liability contract. This means that if he gets hurt, Charlotte Hornets are not even liable to pay for his injuries. They only have to pay him $6,000. He can tear an ACL tomorrow, and that Charlotte Hornets will give him $6,000 and send him on his way. It's called a limited liability contract, and it also is not convertible to a two-way. So they can't convert it to a two-way, unlike an Exhibit 10. The NBA uses these deals to limit their liability Because if you think last year, I think the Clippers got screwed because they brought in a guy named like Malik something. They messed around and didn't sign him to an Exhibit 9. He got hurt. They had to carry him on the roster all the way through January, and then they had to negotiate a deal with him just to get out the contract. So they gave him basically the worst training camp possible deal you can actually have, because I don't know, it's all on him. It's either roster or bust. And so either the Charlotte Hornets basically said to him, you can push to make a spot on the roster, but we're going to look to move another direction with our G League team. Or he told them, and him and his team said, look, we don't want to do G League anymore. We're going to try to push to make the roster. If we don't make it, then we're going to look another direction. That's the only two things that happened there, because he did not sign an Exhibit 10. You look, Snead just came in and signed an Exhibit 10. So you know they had him available. He came in just like that and signed one. So
yeah.
I mean,
and you know what, man? I want to thank you for that breakdown, because I was just looking at something recently, and I was looking at the comparison between the 10 and the contract he signed previously. And I was thinking this, I was like, bro, this don't sound good. Like, I think at first I was hyped because I saw it was a difference, but he signed a 10 at one point. Now he was on the 9. And I was thinking to myself, like, okay, like, they got him on a different contract. Like, this is a good thing. And then as the more and more I read about it, I was like, wait a minute, man, this shit something sound fishy with this one.
The only types of players that sign Exhibit 9s is usually vets, like Cody Zeller with Utah signed one. But he's a vet where he knows. And then teams can also change the clauses in the Exhibit 9. So a vet can come in and negotiate his Exhibit 9 deal and be like, okay, I'll sign the Exhibit 9 deal. I don't want any connections to your two-way affiliate. If I get injured, you'll cover it up to a certain amount. You can negotiate certain aspects of it. But if you negotiate certain aspects of it, you can't not disclose the deals publicly. But so based on the fact that when he got signed, they said we're not disclosing the deals or the details of the contract, tells me right there they didn't make any modifications to the clauses. And he signed a pure Exhibit 9 deal, which is the lowest form of a contract you can have, because Charlotte Hornets have no liability, really no connection, no responsibility if he gets hurt. So if they really wanted him, why would they put him under that type of deal? You know, that's like the lowest of the low. So that's Charlotte. I don't think Charlotte's the place for him, but they are giving him. I mean, they are trying to give him a shot. But just as we saw last night, with Dennis Smith potentially hurt or out, not sure what's going on there. I know he had a child. They still need a backup point. I mean, from what I heard, Dwayne Bacon just got released. I know that Clifford loves Bacon from his previous time in Charlotte. But I'm hearing Bacon might be on his way to Charlotte as well. I don't know what they're gonna do, but it just don't look good. That contract is probably the worst deal. He shouldn't have never signed that type of deal.
And so do you think that this is like a representation error, or is this just like that's the only like deal that was available error?
No, when I first saw it, the first thing that popped in my mind was that Gelo's team went to Charlotte saying, "Can we get a spot?" Obviously, you guys have 19 players. If Miles isn't able to come back, because remember they signed Gelo as soon as Bridges' hearing got pushed back.
Yep.
And they signed Gelo, so it's like, okay, we know he can't come to fill the 20th spot, so let's bring Gelo. But they basically said, okay, well, if we bring him in, we don't want no liability, right? Because obviously we brought 4 other guys in under full Exhibit 10s.
Yeah,
those are the guys we're looking at. If you want him to come, then he's gonna have to come under our terms, which is gonna be Exhibit 9. And unfortunately, But I mean, that's what it looks like. It could be 100% different than what I'm saying. I'm just taking a guess, but that's the only thing that makes sense when you start putting the pieces together.
Yeah. No, I get what you're saying, and I appreciate the different perspective on it, because I feel like, to me, and this is my thing with it, I appreciate the different steps that he's taken, you know what I mean, every year, right? So this year, first time he actually in the training camp, you know what I mean? And I think that when you just look at a lot of it on the surface, it's easy to get excited about some things, but it's also like they say, a game within a game, and there's the business aspects of it. And I know that most of the time that we've talked about it, you've mentioned like the investment in players, right? And guys who they invest in are people who typically get the opportunities. You know what I'm saying? And so in my head, when I saw this, I'm thinking about where you said that, and I'm like, okay, you know what I'm saying? I wish I should try to pull up this article. Somebody, I found it on the internet where they talked about they were breaking down that exhibit 9 contract or whatnot, and a lot of that was, let me see, my man slipped off here for a second. A lot of what I found on the internet about that contract was it. Let me pull this up so we can take a look at this deal. Ball exclusives. A lot of it was, I was like, damn, the money looked good. It looked like they invested in him from a money standpoint. So maybe we on to something. Obviously, I knew that it was not guaranteed and all of that stuff, but I still was like, wait a minute, this might be a good sign. All right, let me show. Pull up here. All right, have y'all saw this website? This is Ball Exclusives. This actually is a website where, excuse. All right. This is actually a website from, if you remember the JBA, the one of the guys who are doing the broadcast with me. This was he created this website recently. Let me see if I could, let's look at LiAngelo. Brandon has it. All right. Yeah. Let me see this. Let me get down. Man, I got to catch up on the chat. Boy, y'all done blown up the chat, man. I'm behind. Let me see. I see something here, but somebody say we got to stop thinking the only money is in the. We need to stop thinking that the only money is NBA contract. The real money is in your own brand, and he has it already. I agree with that, right? But I think that the conversation is, it's not about the money you have or the money that they're paying. It's not the money that you're receiving. It's the money that they invested in you that matters. So it's like I've been watching people kill what's his name, Russell Westbrook lately, right? And not Russell Westbrook, the quarterback, Russell Wilson. He just signed a $250 million deal. So you signed a $250 million deal. You're the starting quarterback, right? You're going to play. And what we need from you is to play good. We paid you all this money. You got to play good, because we'll look stupid if we give you that money and you don't play. So I think that that's where the conversation is when it comes to how much money you're making. Because if we paying you, look at Gordon Hayward. Gordon Hayward making $30 million right now for this on this Hornets team. I'm gonna pull that up too. Let me find this first here. Gordon Hayward making $30 million on this Hornets team. Contract explanation. Here we go. This was I read this article recently, but let me pull this other thing up too. You got Gordon. What's the best way to find that here? This is pretty live. You got Gordon Hayward, who is making a big chunk of change, and he is, no matter what, they gonna always say he the best player. simply because of the money. So here's what I'm saying. We're looking here. This year alone, Gordon Hayward ain't played in 2 years, and he about to make $30 million. So last year, when we hearing Mitch Kupchak say, yo, he our best player, you could tell he the best player because we paying him the most. James Bouknight, he's struggling right now, but we invested $4 million in him. He gotta play. We need him. Cody Martin, we gave him $7 million. He gonna get on the court. You go down here and you look at, let's see who didn't play in that last game. Kai Jones. Kai Jones, yeah, I mean that's a decent, $2-3 million there. But that's what I mean. That's where that stuff matters. So let's go into here and we'll look at this contract extension. Let me pull this back. Hey, if you want to join, hit the link. Obviously you can join. The StreamYard link is pinned, so you can join it. All right. So what is an Exhibit 9 contract? And I was going to make a video about this here, but we might as well do it here. What is an Exhibit 9 contract? An Exhibit 9 is a non-guaranteed camp deal that allows teams to fill up roster spots up to 20 players through the preseason. Contracts don't count against cap during the preseason and offer teams some protection in the event of an injury. Normally, a team is responsible for an injured player's salary for the current season or until he recovers. All right. And this is where I was saying, I was reading this article, and this is the part I was like, wait a minute, something ain't right. But in my interpretation, I'll explain my interpretation after we see this. But first things first, if you ain't here, go ahead and hit the like button. Hit the like button. We got 90 people in here watching, 28 likes. Please hit the like button. You know what they say, your favorite YouTuber say this, it helps with the algorithm. Let's see. An Exhibit 10 camp contract is similar to Exhibit 9. Exhibit 10 is allowed a franchise to convert eligible players specifically on non-guaranteed 1-year minimum to a 2-way contract. Additionally, Exhibit 10 is allowed for a bonus worth up to $50K if a player is waived and then spends at least 60 days with the team's G League affiliate. So obviously you see the different language in here, where this one says this allows us to fill up our roster for camp, but this one here allows us to, you know what I mean? There's some concessions and things built in that make the movement to the G League a little bit similar, smoother, right? The 2-way contract option is in there. If you go to the G League, you get $50K if you stay there for up to 60 days. Some of this stuff here is not there, but what I was looking at, and I was like, all right, man, maybe this is a big deal here, or maybe this is something to be celebrated even more, is because we get into this part here where it say the contract amount. So previously stated, LiAngelo signed a non-guaranteed Exhibit 9 deal. The deal is 1 year, $1 million minimum contract. So when I'm seeing the 1 mil on the minimum contract, I'm like, all right. Okay, now we hitting the $1 million mark. I don't think that most people would have thought like, yo, this Exhibit 9 contract is paying out the big bucks like that. However, we look here and we saying like, you know, all right, we got my man Ball Facts in the building. Let me see. Hello?
What's good, AB?
What's good? Ball Facts in the building. What's happening, my guy?
Not much, man. Appreciate you going live, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I appreciate you joining, my guy. I appreciate you joining.
You know it's all love. I got to show respect to the legend. You know what I'm saying? AB the hero himself.
Hey, yeah, I love it. You're going to make me cry, man. Don't do that on here because I want to. Nah, man, I appreciate you coming through, man. You the living legend, you know what I'm saying, in the streets, man. Taking over the scene, man. I love to see it.
Hey, man, appreciate it. You know, we've spoken in a lot of times, got a relationship. I would have liked to come out to that game with you, but I'm locked in so crazy right now. But we're gonna definitely plan something and do a vlog, you know what I mean? Take a little trip and make history.
Yeah, facts, man. We got to do that. I'm down, man. I I think I was scouting that game out, man. It was really last minute. I was hoping to catch Melo and Gelo. I felt like you're going to Charlotte, you might as well do that in front of the home crowd. So I thought that was a game to go catch. So I like booked it out there last minute, but I'm down, man, to catch a game during the season or something. We can set it off, do some BTS vlogging.
Yeah, that sounds fire. Yeah, man. I really tapped in because, like, I made a video about Melo. I don't know, like a couple months ago, and I just basically said how he continues to rise no matter what. When he was in the NBL, Aaron Brooks got hurt, then Graham went down, Hayward went down, Miles, had his unfortunate circumstance, and basically LaMelo was left standing like, well, who else we got? And it was like, I mean, like, just get out the way, because you can see ain't nothing stopping this young man. He got the skill, and whatever y'all put in front of him, for whatever reason, is just falling. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So now I'm looking to see Gelo, and I'm like, wow, Cody Martin out, Hayward out again, Dennis Smith Jr. out. You guys have no excuse not to play him. Did you see the Celtics tried to sit every one of their starters, and Brown said he wanted to play? But this is the preseason. This is where you want to see the guys that are not locked into the spot come out and show what they can do. So I just find it odd, and I find it unfair. Of course, life isn't fair, right? That's nothing to cry about, but it's a fact. It ain't fair. You know what I mean? I find it funny that they want to judge Gelo off of 4 minutes here, 5 minutes there, and pressure is what it is. If we just looked at Book Knight's minutes, 30 minutes, and he only hit one free throw. Gelo plays 6 minutes, hits one free throw, and he's the worst player in the world. You know what I mean? Like, the double standard is so crazy. We've seen LaMelo go on stretches for 6 minutes and not hit anything. We've seen other people go on stretches for 10 minutes and not do anything. Mm-hmm. But somehow Gelo is just not ready. And then this narrative that all he can shoot, man, I do not agree with that, because what he does, he picks up the pace. We've seen Gelo stop a Scotty Barnes in the Summer League. We've seen the coaches talk about his rebounding ability. We know Gelo can pass it as well. Maybe not as good as his brothers, but damn near close enough. He can do the long ball. He can hit the person that's cutting. He has a IQ. A lot of times people want Gelo to move, and Gelo like, there's no reason for me to move right now. Just give me the ball. Mm-hmm. So I find the assessment to be somewhat like, just, of course people say, yeah, you biased, but I'm like, man, just forget who I am. Forget, but look at it. Just put any player in that situation. You would say they're not getting a fair shot. And no other team took Gelo. I understand that. So that's fine that they took a chance on him just because of LaMelo. But this is what I will say. If Gelo came to the open gyms and was complete trash, I mean, couldn't keep up, couldn't do anything, he would not be there.
Yeah.
When Mitch came out with that press conference and said, yeah, he was a D1 athlete, they seen what Gelo could do, and they were impressed. It wasn't like he looked like he was out of the loop. But I will say he also played those scrimmages with LaMelo. See what I'm saying? So then they come to the real game, and they're like, well, where's that player at? I hate this narrative that he's only good with his brother. No, he could be good with anybody that has vision, anybody who's ready to push the pace. Just so happened he happened to grow up with two of the best transitional passers, in the league. That just so happened to be. So could Gelo be a little bit spoiled, used to playing with great point guards? Yeah, you know what I mean? That's fair. But I don't agree with the assessment that let's say he was only good with his brother, even though I don't believe that. If he was only good with his brother, let's put winning first. Put him in the game. Put him with his brother. Do it. Everything else is asinine. And right now is the perfect time to do it. No one would look at them crazy. No one would look at this organization and say, oh, this is just so much, favoritism that y'all letting Gelo play. No, everybody's getting hurt. It's the preseason. This is the perfect time. So I feel like they just like fighting against the inevitable, and they have the opportunity and they're not pulling the trigger. Give the guy if you're going to only give him 5 minutes, let those 5 minutes be with Melo. If you're going to give him 10 minutes, okay, he don't need to be with Melo. Let him do 10 minutes on his own. You know, but these microwave-sized games, you're down 30, nobody's shooting good, turnovers are horrendous, chemistry is off, and everybody comes away from the game looking at Gelo like he missed the shots. So just like, I get, hate is hate. I get it. But when you just look at basketball, forget the names, for just look at the stat sheet, it speaks for itself. So it's a lot of cap out here about Gelo, and it's trash to me.
Yeah, man, I will tell you, I agree with you, right? And I think from my perspective, like, I think the commentary that I hear about Gelo felt different than what his situation felt like in the building that day. You know what I mean? Like, obviously, I think the team as a whole, obviously, they have some apparent chemistry issues where the team just feel like they just happy to be in the NBA and they just on the bench and everybody too cool. But like, there was these moments where the fans, by the third quarter, the end of the third quarter, they being blown out, and then everybody started cheering, Gelo, Gelo, we want Gelo, right? And I'm watching, I'll be on the body language. I'm watching the body language from the staff, and it wasn't like, oh, here we go again. It was everybody kept it cool, and then once it happened about maybe 2 or 3 times, and then they started subbing people in, and they made the call for him to run it, and legitimately the arena was excited for him to be in the game, right? And what I noticed is he got in there and they were not giving him the ball. And I think that part of his downfall probably is what you talked about, is growing up and playing with these generational point guards and them being able to find you. All you got to do is run, get to the spot, and they going to get you the ball. And they were not doing that. They would not throw him the ball. They were looking the other way. Legitimately, the offense was running the opposite way. And the tension in the building was tight. Like, the arena was saying, damn, pass him the ball. Like, people were like legitimately like upset. I'm telling you, this is how big of a deal it was. When you sit in there, the staff who sit down on the court side and block the seats so you can't keep going, they sit with their back to the game. They can't watch the game. Me and my homeboy who was there with me, he was like, damn, that sucks. Like, you so close. You got the best seats in the house and your back is turned. You can't even watch. When Gelo got in, even the staff was breaking their neck to see what was going on, right? You know what I mean? Like, that's how much you could feel it in the building. It's like, it felt like something monumental was happening behind you. And they somehow, I can't remember what it was, timeout, out of bounds, foul, whatever. They brought a whole team to the bench, and the next couple of plays, they ran the plays for Gelo, right? And it wasn't just get in the corner and shoot. It was run the offense, bro, make something happen. And I felt like he had a couple things that looked really good to me in that moment. And so I say that to say, like, I think the outside world watch it from a distance and feel like it was some hate, but in the you would be crazy to have been in that building and seen what I seen, and then come away from that and be like, but man, we got to get rid of him. We got to cut him. He only made 1 point that night. You know what I mean? Especially on the same night where a book night played 30 minutes and gave you 4. Like, you would have missed a ton if you came away with that. So I'm hoping that the organization saw something more than, like, you know what I mean, what the haters or what the, you know what I mean, casual fans saw.
I hear that. And I would say to the Hornets is like, y'all seen what happened when y'all tried to delay Lamelo. I mean, tons of people started going down. And I don't mean to sound crazy or nothing like that, but it's something bigger playing with this. This is it's supposed to happen. It's supposed to go down like this. I just cannot see that LeVar wasted all these. It would be a waste of all these years of creating these players that complement each other so well, and then they be this close to playing together, and it don't happen. Like, I just don't see it like that. And bro, when I was watching it, I could feel the stadium. I knew everybody was like, yes, let's put Gelo in. That's why I wasn't surprised when eventually they said Gelo. I mean, I felt bad because I made a video and I said I could tell you that LiAngelo was rushing. But can I really blame him? You only got 5 minutes and you don't know when the next time you're getting the ball. Facts. When you get it, it's easy to say don't rush, but the time is winding down. Every shot that you get is like a buzzer beater. And if it was a buzzer beater, they wouldn't be like, oh, he's not like that. But every shot he take like a buzzer beater because he don't know when he's gonna get pulled. I mean, you cold sitting on the bench. It's easier to be in a situation where they're like, we're gonna give you 30 minutes tonight. You let the game come to you. You ain't got to worry about nothing. But you getting in at 5 minutes, and of course the other team is like, don't let that ball brother score. Yeah. See what I'm saying? Like it's a whole lot stacked against you for people to be like, he should be ready for this moment and blah blah blah. Man, I've seen so many players that if they would just have the same opportunity that LiAngelo is having, would do worse. So, you know what I'm saying? I see a player that just still needs a little bit more fair treatment. If you treat him like everybody else on the team, I'm not saying give him no preferential treatment, just treat him like everybody else. Dennis Smith Jr. got the same non-guaranteed contract. And you would think like, okay, they would get the same amount of minutes. But no, he gets more than Gelo. Next game, he can't come for emergency. I hope everything turns out right. I'm not sure what's going on. But he don't get none this game. You know what I mean? Like, what?
Yeah, bro. I think it's that. I'm gonna look up this Dennis Smith contract because that's interesting if he got the same joint because I think people overlooking. Yeah, Exhibit 9. Minimum. See, this is what I'm saying. This is another. I'm glad. See, I'm glad you pointed that out because that's a big thing that can't be overlooked. It's this. You're right. Let me pull it up here. Let me slide over here. It's the same. They got him here. Exhibit 9 contract. The same one that felt like man, something ain't right. You know what I mean? Like, are they not invested in him contract? And this is the same thing that we're seeing from Dennis Smith Jr. I got it on the screen. His is a little bit more because he's been in the league longer. $2 million, 1 year, Exhibit 9, vet minimum. But I think that when people look at Dennis Smith Jr., they don't think of, and the man ain't played. He been dealing with some stuff and whatever that is, you know what I'm saying? I hope it all play itself out. But he ain't even played. He not even available. You know what I mean? They say the best ability most of the time is availability. And so I don't hear the same like, oh, he finna be in trouble because he's not going to make the team. People assume like, yo, he still got him a spot and he going to be okay. So I don't know, man. I think you just gave me, I think FYF in his talk like maybe questioned some things. And I feel like you just gave me some hope. Another ounce of hope
I
that I already had.
Fact, my boy. Yeah. That's why I came up on here. That's, you know, like, I'm cool with FIF, everything's cool and stuff like that, but I'm like, man, it's a whole lot of facts missing out this conversation.
Yeah. No, I appreciate that. That's because you're right. You're right. That definitely is a fact that can't be overlooked. Is they literally on the same contract, and one of the things is I assume I don't expect Dennis Smith Jr. to go play in the G League for the Charlotte Hornets, right? When you sign Xavier Sneed to a 10 Exhibit 10, I expect to see him go play. I don't think you know what I mean? Like, I'm not expecting him to make the roster and play significant minutes for the Hornets at all. I'm expecting him to go play in the G League. And so my expectations for Gelo joining camp were for him to join the Hornets roster throughout the season. I think it's going to be, do I think he initially going to be in the rotation and all that right away? I don't know. But I was expecting him to make the roster. And I feel like this, to me, gives more credence to that expectation that I had. And I'm sorry, yeah, I'm glad you brought those ball facts in the building, man. People in the comments said you was cooking as well, man. So